The day after Dad died, I found Mom and her new husband Bryson rummaging through his study like vultures picking at carrion. The sight of them pawing through his prized first editions made my stomach turn. "What are you doing?" My voice cracked. "I'm Madeline, and for the past 3 years, I'd been the one caring for my stepfather Orlando, while Mom lived her new life across town with Bryson." Mom barely looked up from the leather-bound book in her hands. "Just getting things in order, dear. Someone has to do it." "He's been gone 24 hours, I said, gripping the doorframe until my knuckles went white. "The funeral isn't even planned yet." Bryson shot me that patronizing smile I'd grown to hate. "Regina's just being practical. These things need to be handled promptly." I watched them continue their inventory, remembering all the nights I'd spent in this room with Dad, discussing literature while I helped him with his medication. He'd point to different books, telling me stories about where he'd found them, promising they'd be mine someday. "At least let me help," I offered, stepping into the room. "I know which ones meant the most to him." "That won't be necessary," Mom said, her voice clipped. "We've got this under control." My phone buzzed, a text from Layla. "How are you holding up? Need me to come over?" "Please," I typed back quickly, then looked up to find Mom studying me. "You should go home and rest, Madeline. You look exhausted." Of course I was exhausted. I'd barely slept since Dad's final hours, when I'd held his hand and promised to take care of everything. Mom hadn't even been there. She'd arrived an hour after he passed, dry-eyed and already talking about arrangements. "I'm not leaving you to pack up his life like it's a yard sale," I said. Mom sighed dramatically. "Don't be difficult. We're just trying to help." "Help?" I laughed bitterly. Where was this help when he needed his medications at 3 a.m., when he couldn't keep food down during chemo? Bryson stepped between us. "Now, Madeline, your mother's just—" "Don't," I cut him off. "Just don't." The doorbell rang, and I nearly cried with relief when Layla's voice called up the stairs. She appeared in the doorway moments later, taking in the scene with knowing eyes. "Hey, honey," she said softly. "Let's get some air." I let her lead me out, but not before catching Mom slipping one of Dad's most valuable books into her oversized purse. The sight burned itself into my memory, a perfect snapshot of everything wrong with this moment. "They're acting like he meant nothing," I whispered to Layla as we walked outside, "like the last 3 years never happened." She squeezed my hand. "We both know that's not true, and so did Orlando." A week later, I sat in Imran's law office, watching Mom's face as he read Dad's will. The smugness in her expression made my skin crawl. The entirety of the estate, including all properties, investments, and personal effects, is hereby left to Regina Kelly. Imran read, his voice professionally neutral. The room spun. "That's impossible," I said. "Dad promised—" "The will is quite clear," Mom interrupted, reaching for the papers. "Orlando wanted me to handle everything." "But he told me—" I trailed off, remembering countless conversations during late-night hospital stays. He'd been so specific about wanting me to have the house, his books, enough money to finally finish my degree. Layla, sitting beside me, grabbed my hand under the table. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "Orlando specifically told Madeline." "Whatever Orlando may have said during his illness," Bryson cut in, "this legal document speaks for itself." I turned to Imran. "When was this will dated?" "3 months ago," he replied, adjusting his glasses. "That's impossible," I said again, stronger this time. "He could barely hold a pen 3 months ago. I was with him every day." Mom's face hardened. "Are you suggesting something inappropriate, Madeline?" "I'm suggesting that this isn't what Dad wanted. You know it isn't." "You're upset," Mom said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "Grief can make us imagine things." I stood up so fast, my chair scraped against the floor. "I'm not imagining anything. You disappeared from his life when he got sick. You barely visited. Now suddenly you get everything? Madeline, Imran said gently, I understand this is difficult. No, you don't understand, I shot back. Something's wrong here. Dad wouldn't do this. Mom gathered her designer purse, the same one she'd stuffed his books into. We're done here. Madeline, when you've calmed down, we can discuss you removing your things from the house. I felt like I'd been slapped. You're kicking me out? The house is mine now, she said simply. Bryson and I will be moving in next week. I stormed out of the office, Layla right behind me. In the parking lot, I finally let the tears fall. This isn't over, Layla said firmly. We'll figure this out. That night, I went back to Dad's house, my home for the past 3 years, to start packing. In his study, I pulled his favorite book from the shelf, a worn copy of Great Expectations. A folded paper fluttered to the floor. My hands shook as I opened it. Dad's familiar handwriting jumped out at me. My dearest Madeline, if you're reading this, something has gone terribly wrong. There's another will. Look where we kept our greatest treasures. I pressed the letter to my chest, hope blooming through my grief. Dad had left me a trail to follow. Our greatest treasures, I repeated, pacing Dad's study while Layla searched through shelves. It has to mean something specific. Could it be in one of these first editions? Layla pulled down another book. No, Mom already ransacked those. I stopped at his desk, running my fingers along the worn leather chair. Wait, the chess set. I rushed to the corner cabinet where Dad kept his antique chess set. We'd spent countless evenings playing, sharing secrets over matched moves. Look at this, I said, lifting the heavy wooden board. There was a slight gap between the decorative trim and the base, just enough to hide a small key. Sneaky old man, Layla grinned. But what does it open? A noise downstairs made us freeze. Hello? My half-sister Talia's voice carried up the stairs. Up here, I called back, quickly pocketing the key. Talia appeared in the doorway, looking uncertain. Mom sent me to check if you'd started packing. Of course she did, I muttered. Tell her I'll be out by her deadline. I'm sorry about all this, Talia said softly. It doesn't seem fair. It's not fair, Layla interjected. Your mom's stealing Madeline's inheritance. Talia shifted uncomfortably. Mom said Orlando changed his mind at the end. And you believe that? I challenged. You saw how he was in those final months. He could barely sign his name. I don't know what to believe, Talia admitted, but Bryson's already talking about selling the house. My stomach lurched. Selling it? They can't. They can, Talia cut in. Mom's already contacted a realtor. After Talia left, Layla and I turned the study upside down, looking for anything the key might fit. Finally, I noticed something odd about the old family portrait hanging behind Dad's desk. Help me with this, I said, lifting the heavy frame. Behind it was a wall safe I'd never seen before. My hands trembled as I inserted the key. It clicked perfectly. Inside lay a thick envelope and a USB drive. The envelope contained a will, dated just 6 weeks ago, and a letter in Dad's shaky handwriting. My dearest Madeline, I read aloud, I'm sorry for the deception, but I've learned some disturbing things about Regina and Bryson. This will ensure you get everything as we discussed. The USB contains proof of their financial misconduct. Take this to Imran. He'll know what to do. I love you, and I trust you to do what's right. Layla hugged me as tears rolled down my face. We've got them, she whispered. Not yet, I said, clutching the documents. First, we need to find out exactly what they did and make sure they can't weasel out of it. I tucked everything into my bag, already planning my next move. Dad had given me the weapons I needed. Now I just had to figure out how to use them. Imran's eyes widened as he reviewed the documents spread across his desk. This changes everything. he said, clicking through files on the USB drive. Your stepfather was very thorough. What exactly am I looking at? I leaned forward, trying to make sense of the spreadsheets on his screen. Financial records. Your mother and Bryson have been systematically draining Orlando's accounts for months. Look here. He pointed to a series of transfers. They've been moving money through shell companies, probably preparing for his death. How much? My throat felt dry. Nearly $2 million. The room tilted. That's impossible. Dad would have noticed. He did notice, Imran said grimly. That's why he created this second will and gathered the evidence. He was building a case. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom demanding I clear out my things. I ignored it. Can they be charged with something? I asked. Fraud at minimum. Possibly elder abuse, given Orlando's condition. Imran leaned back. But we need to move carefully. They don't know we have this information. A knock at the door made us both jump. Talia stood there, looking nervous. How did you know I was here? I asked. Mom's having me follow you, she admitted, stepping inside. But I'm done being her spy. I overheard Bryson on the phone this morning. They're planning to empty the house this weekend, sell everything before you can stop them. Imran straightened. That would be extremely unwise given this new evidence. They don't care, Talia said. Bryson's already got buyers lined up for Dad's art collection. My fists clenched. Over my dead body. We can file for an immediate injunction, Imran said, reaching for his phone. But we need to serve them formal notice first. I'll do it, I said. In person. Madeline, he warned, don't tip your hand too soon. I won't. I stood up. But I want to see their faces when they realize they're not getting away with this. Talia touched my arm. I'll help. I can get them both at the house tonight. They're meeting the art dealer. Are you sure? I searched her face. This could get ugly. They used me to hurt you, she said firmly. I want to make it right. Imran handed me a thick envelope. Everything's here. The will, the evidence, the court orders. Remember, stay calm and let the documents do the talking. I nodded, clutching the envelope like a shield. Time to end this. Want backup? Talia offered. No, I said, thinking of all the nights I'd spent alone with Dad, watching him suffer while they lived their comfortable lives. This is something I need to do myself. Walking out of Imran's office, I felt Dad's presence stronger than ever. He'd given me everything I needed to fight back. Now it was my turn to make things right. I arrived at the house just as an expensive SUV pulled into the driveway. A well-dressed man stepped out, greeting Mom and Bryson with handshakes. Ah, perfect timing, the man said, pulling out a tablet. I've already got several interested parties for the collection. Madeline? Mom's smile faltered. What are you doing here? We said next week for me to clear out my things? I stepped closer. Sorry to interrupt your little art sale. Bryson moved between us. This is a private meeting. You need to leave. Actually, I don't. I pulled out the envelope. But you might want to cancel your plans to sell Dad's art collection. Mom's face darkened. Everything in this house belongs to me now. The will. You mean this will? I held up the document. Or did you mean the fake one you somehow got Dad to sign when he could barely hold a pen? The art dealer shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps I should come back another time. No need, I said, handing him my card. I'm the legal owner of this estate. Any sale would be fraudulent. That's ridiculous, Bryson sputtered. Regina has the legal right to what? I cut in. To steal $2 million from Dad's accounts? To set up fake companies to hide the money? Mom's face went white. How dare you? It's all here, I continued, pulling out more papers. Every transfer, every shell company, every fraud. Dad knew what you were doing. He kept records. You're lying, Mom whispered, but her hands were shaking. The art dealer quietly excused himself, practically running to his car. There's more, I said, watching him drive away. Dad left a letter explaining everything: how you took advantage of his illness, how you planned to sell off his legacy the moment he died. Bryson grabbed for the envelope, but I stepped back. The police have copies. So does Imran. It's over. We can work something out, Mom said quickly. Surely we can, like you worked something out with Dad? My voice cracked. While I was changing his sheets and helping him breathe, you were stealing his money. You don't understand, she pleaded. We had debts. Save it for the police. I cut her off. You have 24 hours to clear out of this house before I file charges. You wouldn't, Mom gasped. I'm your mother. You stopped being my mother the moment you abandoned Dad. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and those first editions you stole? Bring them back. All of them. Walking away, I heard Mom start to cry and Bryson trying to calm her down. But for the first time since Dad died, I felt strong. He'd trusted me to make things right, and I wasn't going to let him down. The next morning, Talia showed up at my apartment, her eyes red from crying. They're gone, she said, left in the middle of the night. Mom just texted me they're staying at a hotel. I let her in, putting on coffee. Did they take anything? No, I stayed there last night to make sure. She slumped onto my couch. Mom's threatening to cut me off completely for helping you. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. I never wanted to put you in the middle of this. Don't apologize. I should have seen what they were doing sooner. She pulled out her phone, showing me a string of angry texts from Mom. Look what she sent this morning. The messages were desperate, alternating between threats and pleas. The last one caught my eye. Ask Madeline about what really happened with her father before Orlando. What's she talking about? Talia asked. My coffee mug froze halfway to my lips. I have no idea. My phone rang. Imran. They're trying to make a deal, he said without preamble. They'll return everything they took, including the money, if you drop the charges. No deal, I said firmly. There's something else, he hesitated. They're claiming Orlando wasn't of sound mind when he made the second will. They have medical records. Fake ones, probably, I snapped. Like the first will. Possibly. But Regina's also threatening to reveal something about your biological father. She was very specific about, tell them they have 1 hour to return everything. I cut him off. After that, I'm going to the police. I hung up, finding Talia watching me carefully. What happened to your real dad? He died when I was little. Car accident. I turned away, but she persisted. Are you sure? Because Mom said... Your mom says a lot of things. I grabbed my keys. Come on, we need to get to the house before they try anything else. We arrived to find Mom and Bryson already there, carrying boxes to their car. The books, Mom said quickly, pointing to a stack of boxes. All of them, and I've arranged for the money to be returned. Too late, I said. The police are already involved. Please, she begged. You don't understand what this will do to us. Like you didn't understand what you were doing to Dad? At least let me explain about your father. She tried. You deserve to know the truth. The truth? I laughed bitterly. You wouldn't know the truth if it slapped you in the face. But something in her expression made me pause. For the first time since this started, she looked genuinely afraid, not of the consequences, but of something else entirely. What truth? I asked, my voice suddenly uncertain. Her answer would change everything I thought I knew about my family. Your father didn't die in a car accident, Mom said, sinking into Dad's leather chair. He's in prison, life sentence. The room seemed to tilt. You're lying. He killed 3 people during a robbery, she continued, her voice hollow. I changed our names, moved us here, Start it over. Orlando knew. It's why he was so protective of you. Talia grabbed my hand as I swayed. That's why you were so desperate for money, she said to Mom. The blackmail. Mom nodded. Your father's former associates found us. They wanted payment to keep quiet. So, you stole from Dad instead of telling me the truth? My voice shook with rage. Orlando wanted to tell you, Mom whispered, but I couldn't bear it. Then when he got sick, you saw an opportunity. I finished. Take his money, pay them off, keep your secret. Bryson stepped forward. We were trying to protect you. By stealing from a dying man? I pulled out my phone. Let's call the police right now. I'm sure they'd love to hear about all this protection. Please, Mom begged. I'll tell you everything. Names, dates, the whole truth. Just don't do this. I looked at the woman who'd lied to me my entire life, who'd betrayed the man who'd been more of a parent to me than she ever was. Here's what's gonna happen, I said, my voice steady. You're going to return every penny you stole. You're going to sign a confession about the fake will. Then you're going to disappear. Madeline, I don't care about my biological father. I don't care about your secrets. The only father who mattered was Orlando, and you betrayed him. Talia spoke up. What about me? I turned to my half-sister, seeing the pain in her eyes. You're welcome here anytime. You chose truth over lies. Mom started crying. I was trying to give you a better life. No, I said. Dad gave me a better life. You just gave me lies. I walked to his desk, running my fingers over the worn leather. You have until tomorrow to get everything in order with Imran. After that, I'm filing charges. And the blackmailers? Bryson asked. Not my problem. I met Mom's tear-filled eyes. Maybe prison runs in the family. They left shortly after, Mom still crying, Bryson practically carrying her out. Talia stayed behind, helping me sort through the returned books. Are you really okay? She asked softly. I picked up Dad's copy of Great Expectations, the one that had started this whole revelation. You know what Dad always said about books? The best stories aren't about what happens to people. They're about what people choose to do about what happens to them. And what are you choosing? I placed the book back on its shelf where it belonged, to honor the father who chose me, not the one who lost me. Layla helped me hang the last family photo, one of just Dad and me at my college graduation. The study looked right again, his books back on their shelves, his chess set in its corner. The movers are here for your mom's stuff, Talia called from downstairs. I took one last look around the room where I'd spent so many hours with Dad. Good, let them take it all. Mom had signed everything over yesterday, a full confession, the returned money, even a written account of her deception. Imran had it all locked away, insurance against any future trouble. The doorbell rang. That'll be Imran, Layla said. Want me to get it? No, I've got it. I headed downstairs, finding him on the porch with a stack of papers. Everything's filed, he said, following me inside. The estate's officially yours. Thank you. I gestured to Dad's favorite armchair. He'd want you to sit there. Imran smiled, settling into the leather. Orlando was a good man. He knew exactly what he was doing, protecting you like this. Even keeping the truth about my biological father secret? Especially that. Imran pulled out one last envelope. He left this for when everything was settled. My hands trembled as I opened it, recognizing Dad's handwriting. My dearest Madeline, by now you know everything. I'm sorry I kept the truth from you, but it was never my story to tell. What matters isn't where you came from, but who you choose to become. You chose to care for me when others wouldn't. You chose loyalty over easy money. You chose truth over comfortable lies. I chose you as my daughter long before I married your mother. Remember that. All my love, Dad. Talia appeared in the doorway. The movers are done. Mom's stuff is gone. Good. I folded the letter carefully. Stay for dinner? We can order from that Italian place Dad loved. The one with the terrible breadsticks he insisted were amazing? Layla laughed. Exactly that one. We gathered in the kitchen, sharing stories about Dad while waiting for delivery. Every corner of the house held memories, but they didn't hurt anymore. What now? Talia asked, helping me set the table. The same table where Dad had taught me chess, where we'd shared countless meals. Now we make new memories, I said, better ones. The doorbell rang again, dinner arriving. As I went to answer it, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. I saw Dad's determination in my eyes, his strength in my stance. He'd given me more than an inheritance. He'd given me the power to choose who I wanted to be. And I chose to be the person he'd always seen in me, someone who fought for what was right, who protected what mattered, who turned betrayal into strength. That was his real gift, and I'd never let it go.